Zambia's bold rebellion. The day Africa stopped the world, a LearnAfricaTV exclusive. The world didn't see it coming, not from Washington, not from London, not even from Beijing. It came quietly from the heart of Africa, Lusaka, Zambia. In one historic announcement, the global economy trembled. Factories slowed, markets panicked, tech giants scrambled for answers. Because Zambia, a nation once dismissed as just another raw material supplier, had done the unthinkable. It stopped exporting copper, the red metal that powers our world. From the phone in your hand, to the batteries of electric cars, to the skyscrapers that touch the sky, overnight, it vanished from the market. Prices exploded, Tesla paused production. European carmakers froze assembly lines. Apple and Intel sounded the alarm. And in boardrooms across the West, one question echoed: how could Africa do this? But for Zambia, this wasn't rebellion, it was redemption. For decades, Zambia stood among the world's top copper producers. Yet, it remained one of the poorest nations on Earth. Foreign companies came. They mined billions in profit and left behind pollution, unemployment, and poverty. The people watched their wealth leave in ships while hunger stayed behind. But a new generation of African leaders saw through the illusion. They realized exporting raw materials was exporting power, and so Zambia said, "No more." Under President Hakainde Hichilema, Zambia made a bold move, a total freeze on copper exports. No mineral would leave the country without being processed on African soil. Local refineries, local jobs, local control. The new policy shifted everything. Tax systems now favored citizens, not corporations, and partnerships were built not with colonial powers, but with African nations and BRICS allies like China and Russia. This wasn't isolation, it was liberation. Zambia's stand sent shock waves across the continent. Zimbabwe banned raw lithium exports. The Democratic Republic of Congo restricted cobalt. South Africa tightened its hold on platinum. Across Africa, one message grew louder: you cannot build a wealthy continent on raw exports. The old order was fading. Africa was no longer content to be the world's quarry. It was becoming the factory, the refinery, and the marketplace. But in the West, panic spread like wildfire. Because 80% of the world's critical raw materials for electric vehicles, semiconductors, and renewable energy come from Africa. Without Zambia's copper, without Congo's cobalt, without South Africa's platinum, the global green revolution trembled. Within days of the freeze, prices on the London Metal Exchange hit record highs. Construction projects halted. Tech companies warned of shortages. For the first time in modern history, Africa held the world's attention, not as a victim, but as a power broker. Zambia began building refineries in Lusaka, Kitwe, and Ndola, from raw ore to finished product. A new industrial identity was born. No more exporting wealth. Now Africa exports value. No more extracting minerals. Now Africa extracts power. This wasn't just economics. It was a spiritual and psychological awakening. A new consciousness rising from African soil. For too long, Africa's story was written by outsiders. Now, the pen is back in African hands. As visionaries like P.L.O. Lumumba, Dr. Arikana Chihombori Kwao, and Julius Malema have declared, Africa will remain poor until she controls what lies beneath her soil. Zambia listened, and now the world listens to Zambia. This is not the story of one country, it's the awakening of a continent. Experts now warn that if Zambia holds its line, the United States could lose over $500 billion in industrial output within a year. Europe's luxury car market could collapse without access to African metals. But Africa isn't asking for help anymore. It's demanding fair trade. The age of dependency is ending. And the age of dignity is being born. From Lusaka to Johannesburg, from Accra to Addis Ababa, the continent is speaking with one voice. We are not poor. We are powerful. The West may panic, but Africa has finally woken up, and as Zambia rewrites the script of global economics, one truth stands unshaken. The future of the world economy now runs through Africa. Narrator warm, concluding tone. This is more than a story about copper. It's the story of courage, of a nation that dared to say no, of a continent rediscovering its voice. Welcome to a new chapter of history, the rise of a sovereign Africa.